It's here. Listen to other great tech podcasts at www.techpodcasts.com.
Yo, you are in the right place at the right time, listening to the right thing. Tech Webcast. Congratulations on choosing such an awesome thing to listen to. You are clearly very smart. You're into tech stuff. You love hearing Brad and Jason and their guests chat, and you're probably really good looking too. Well done. So let's get into it. The weekly tech extravaganza that is Tech Webcast. In 3, 2, 1, let's go!
And welcome to episode 246 of the Tech Webcast podcast, recorded on the 6th of July 2013. Tech Webcast is recorded every Saturday and rebroadcast on Aussie Tech Heads on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Your hosts today are Brad, Jody, Steve, Jacob. We have another co-host, Steve, in the house, and myself, Andrew. We have a special guest today, David Amberland from helpmyseo.com, and David is here to talk to us about his new book, Google Semantic Search. So we're really looking forward to that. G'day, Brad. How you doing, mate?
I'm well, mate. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Brad. Getting there. Long week, but moving along, doing well.
What's been going on?
Just been, pretty busy working this week, trying to deal with a number of investors and things like that, working through our app platform, and yeah, it's been busy but good. We're getting things done, which is great.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We went to the new Apple store the other week, last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did actually. Straight after the show, that was a whole lot of fun. It's a huge store, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it, mate?
It was massive. It was a lot bigger. I expected it to be quite large, but it was a lot bigger than I thought it would even be, and it was full to the rafters. There were people hanging out the sides of it. It was really fun.
I won't be going back there again on a weekend. Also, below that was the Samsung shop store.
That's correct. So the Apple one was above the Samsung.
How
there you go.
So where's the Microsoft store at?
How bizarre was that?
That was in the basement, too.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Or in the bin. So, yeah, that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Brad.
All right, we've got Steve. Two Steves on today. We've got Steve from Sydney. Welcome, Steve. How are you, mate?
Yeah, g'day. Oh, not too bad.
That's the way, mate. Good to have you on. You're from Vodafone. We're going to talk about Vodafone 4G with you very shortly. We've got Steve from the US.
Hey, how you doing?
And also we've got Jody from the US.
Yes, indeed.
And also got Jacob from the US.
Hello.
And David from the UK. Is that right, David? You're from the UK.
That's right. Yes, it is. Yes. Hi, guys.
All right. And let's jump into some news, Jody. And yeah.
Okay, we've got a lot of news today, actually. First up is an interesting development for the Boxy startup. Apparently, it was acquired by Samsung for around $30 million. It sounds like a lot of money, but actually that's not that much considering that they've got a current funding total of about $26.5 million. But the deal apparently brings the entire Boxy team of around 45 people to work under Samsung's roof. Boxy had secured paying customers. They were building a sustainable business. But apparently this is an interesting development. I'm not quite sure whether it's good for Boxy or bad for Boxy, and I'm curious what you guys think.
Well, I think it's going to be good for Samsung because I think they're going to be putting that in their TVs and stuff, and that sort of thing. It should be good, I think. But yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Obviously, as you just said, Brad, I think it points towards video as being a true marker of forward communications and things like that. We're getting these fantastic 4G networks that Steve will run through Voda and other networks globally as well. So it's a really good acquisition for Samsung. I think it's considering the reach that Samsung have. I think they've really got it for a song, and it tells us a lot about where they're going in the future, and perhaps some of their R&D cycles weren't in time, so they've had to actually go and acquire someone.
All right. What about you, Steve from Sydney? What's your view on that? What do you reckon about that?
No, I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go with it all, but I can never quite pick what Samsung's going to be doing next. They've always got some interesting developments going on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they do. We actually checked out a 4K TV the other day, didn't we, Andrew? We went to mention that, but it wasn't actually on a. Was it a 4K video or wasn't? Was it?
No, it wasn't. They had a movie running through
Yeah.
Blu-ray, which of course is high definition, but it's not the
No.
ultra high that 4K is, which was really surprising. People are sort of watching it going, "Wow, that's cool," and I wasn't overly impressed. It would have been a whole lot better to run a 5-minute 4K teaser than a cool movie on Blu-ray.
Yep. All right. Chatterbox, what do you reckon about that story?
Several things. I don't know. Boxy seemed to be, they're offering something and then they end it. Of course, they had the computer versions of their Boxy software. They stopped that, and then supposedly they'll have several hardware embedded Boxy devices, and then they ended that. So hopefully, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Samsung is going to offer the Boxy experience on their TVs as a standalone application, or if they're just going to integrate some of their features and it's going to get kind of lost. So,
yeah, well, if they brought that Boxy DVR to Australia, I would have bought that straight away. That would have been cool to have. But
well, I think they discontinued that one too, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That's going to be stopped on July the 10th, apparently. So, yeah, Jacob, what's your view on that story?
Not very good because many people have the DVR service and they're just killing them right off.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, what else? What about you, David? What's your view on that?
Well, it's a pretty interesting acquisition, actually. A lot of the big companies these days, a lot of the verticals are interested in this kind of thing for two reasons. And we've seen this with Instagram and Facebook a while back, and also the service acquired by Twitter, which allows you to upload video. And what it is, we're getting into... Actually, this is pretty much my domain, because we're getting into the semantic web where companies are trying to lock in customers through their engagement interaction. And if they haven't got the tools to actually do it in terms of sharing live moments or live logging, as we call it, and then they can't get that interaction going and that engagement. And it's crucial to companies for two reasons. First of all, they lock the customer in terms of behavior. And the other one is because they acquire valuable usage data, which powers many of the which we will be seeing in the semantic web. And Samsung are very much aware of this. So, yeah, I agree. They bought it very cheaply, and they absolutely needed it, and they didn't have it in place. So they had no choice.
All right. Jody?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because so much of what's happening with television is evolving. In our next story, in fact, it has to do with Apple working on a deal that would bring Time Warner cable content to their Apple TV desktop streaming. And, interestingly enough, recently, like this past year, I guess it was, Netflix started showing made for Netflix video. Arrested Development was a huge hit, and we're seeing more and more of that. In this update, it seems that subscribers can access their content much in the same way as HBO Go, the HBO Go app does on an Apple TV. So if you're already paying for it, you now have more different ways of watching it. Time Warner also owns HBO Go, so it isn't surprising to see some relaxing of content rules from Time Warner. And it's also not exactly a novel deal, since Time Warner already has similar agreements in place with Roku, Xbox, and they're rumored to integrate some of their channel lineup into Samsung smart TVs, although I'm not sure how that's going to evolve now that Boxy has the Samsung connection. Just curious, again, obviously it's an evolution of the way we watch TV. We don't watch TV the way we used to. We want to watch it when we want to. And I'm curious if you guys have any comments about this article.
Well, I do love my Apple TV. I use it every day. That won't affect me because I'm not in the US. So, Andrew?
Yeah, I think. I guess at the end of the day, it's hard to say. I mean, I think it's a good thing for, as I've sort of said, for extending the reach. But whether or not it's going to be successful against a pretty intense market, it's hard to say. It's becoming really bloated, the marketplace, with content streaming and things like that. So it's good for them, but I think it's a hard play.
All right. Stephen, what about you? Do you have an Apple TV, mate, or at all? Or?
No, not yet.
That wasn't you. That was the other.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. The other one. Okay.
Sorry.
Me.
You have to be real clear which Steve it is.
Yeah. Sorry, in Sydney. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Yep.
Nah, I haven't got one, dog.
What's your view on that story? What are you thinking about that?
Not having Apple TV and not actually hardly even watch TV at all, so it's not really, my forte.
All right, that's cool. That's fair enough. All right, what about you, Steve, US guy?
I think it's a start, but I think people are usually when they buy cable, they got to buy all these packages, several channels, because people want to pick their individual channels they really want to see, and get rid of the rest. And I don't know if people are that's exactly what they're looking for. They kind of wanted to get away from the subscription type thing, or I don't know. They want to pick and choose what they want to see. Like I said, it's a start, but we're going to have to see more development away from large packaged multi-channel cable stations. Obviously, they should go through the internet,
I
which
reckon
people
it would be
want.
good to add apps on the Apple TV, such as
Oh,
Fox,
yeah, definitely. But
right, all right, good to have them sort of apps on the Apple TV. That can be great. Yeah, okay. Is that all, Steve? You want to say?
yeah.
I'm curious what David has to say.
Yeah, David, go ahead. What's your view on that?
Well, you're all quite right in terms of it's the development which is going to extend some of the reach of Samsung. It'll be interesting to see just how much they get out of it. I mean, Boxy has a cloud DVR service. Any kind of cloud-based service essentially is data, and at the moment, Samsung are a big question mark in terms of how they're going to use this data. I mean, they are constantly expanding their ability to capture things. They've got their own competing search, which is powered by Google, but it is their own within their environment. They've got their own app store. So it's an interesting development by a company which is huge, but sort of still finding its way into the global stage as far as being a data player goes. So it'll be good to watch. Is it going to be good for the consumer at the end of the day? I have no idea. Big companies sometimes can be very bad at maintaining the service. At the same time, they have deep pockets, so maybe they can improve it. So it really depends on how they handle it.
Yep. All right, Jacob, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I don't have that cable service, so I wouldn't use it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Jody, next story.
Well, in the ongoing dilemma or battle between Vine and whatchamacallit?
Instagram.
God,
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. Thank you. Twitter apparently updated their Vine app for the iOS today, and their features include some things that I think are important. But this comes about 2 weeks after Instagram updated their service to include videos. So you can see the turmoil and the flux. They're both vying for a competitive advantage. The updates, some of which Vine had hinted about, included a redesigned camera that includes a grid and focusing tool. They also have a ghost tool that lets you line up your next shot by overlaying a ghosted image of the previous take.
Wow.
You can also revine, which means posts taken, you can basically, it's like retweeting, but with a Vine video. And the one update that they missed, and it's something that Instagram already has, and that's the ability to undo the last shot. Other updates focused on helping others find interesting creators and videos. They introduced channels into the app, which is also good. But you can see that there's kind of a little bit of a fight going on for dominance here. One of the things that Vine also did was they added a privacy feature where Vine users can now protect their posts. So only approved followers can see them unless the user decides that they want to share their Vine on Twitter or Facebook. So some interesting things happening in that arena as well.
Interesting. All right. Jody, do you use Vine? Jody?
You know what? Honestly, I did try it, and I'm not a big Vine user. I know some people are really use it a lot. I just have so many different outlets. It's not one that I reach
Yeah.
for that often.
Oh, I love Vine. So many cool videos on there. On there, Brittany, she does these comedy videos. They're really funny. You should check them out. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Vine. It's not a bad product, but I do lean towards Twitter. I don't think 6 seconds is enough to actually get anything considerable out. And even with Instagram's 15 seconds, I'm still not convinced it's enough time to actually say a story, to say something interesting. Scott Jordan, who's the CEO of Scotty Vest tech clothing, so great product there. He put up a video on his Facebook yesterday which went for just over a minute, and it was a proper widescreen, not a square, of his dogs kicking around and playing around a river. And it sort of starts with a nice shot of a river, 10 or 15 seconds, and then the dogs come along and they start playing. And it went for about a minute, and it was really fascinating, really enjoyable. And I watched that widescreen on my phone, and I just thought the experience there was so much greater than watching fast food square 15-second video.
You know what, Andrew? What would be a better experience if you had a better phone? You know what?
What's that?
A phone, you would have had an iPhone 5. Jacob, what's your view on that?
I use Vine.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good stuff, content on there.
I'm sure there is, mate. Yeah. You don't record any Vines, Jacob?
No, but there is not safe for work stuff on there.
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Steve from Sydney, do you use Vine?
No, I don't use it. I've seen a couple of short clips from there, but I am not big into all that social media stuff.
What about Instagram and
Twitter, Vine, Instagram, all of that? There's just so many places nowadays, and to try and keep up with everything is just a nightmare. So I've pretty much just given up on all of it right now.
Okay. All right, good answer. Steve from the US?
I think, well, this is going on what Andrew said. I think, where he mentioned the video is not long enough. I think if you're going to be doing social networking with video, I could see why they want to, limit the amount of video and more on the social. Because if you're going to be primarily using much longer video, you got things like YouTube and Vimeo and so forth. It's very similar but different, and I think something like that would work much better on a mobile platform.
Yeah. Yep. All right, David?
Yeah, guys, again, this is one of these developments. The emphasis is very much on social. We're going to be seeing more and more of this because essentially the social layer is where most companies get the data, which actually creates the meaningful connections which they need in order to, again, bring out new services stroke products. And this is interesting by Facebook. I've been looking very closely at Facebook now for quite some time, and they sort of seem to have lost any kind of vision they had in terms of development, and all they do is copy blindly and see what sticks. I mean, they copied Vines with Instagram. They copied Twitter again very recently with hashtags, which are identical. They copy Google Plus with instant upload. So, they seem to sort of, instead of having a very clear strategy of where they are heading, they just bring out everything, and they have the numbers to actually see if it gets taken up by their membership or not. So this is, again, one of those things.
Yep. All right, Jody?
Kind of like testing, I guess.
Yeah.
But okay. Interesting development in Germany. Apparently, if you're on a train and you fall asleep and your head happens to lean against the window, there's a commercial that you can hear that nobody else can. The person who's hearing the commercial, they're not dreaming it. It's actually a transmitter that sends high-frequency vibrations to the window pane. So the person receives them through their bones, which is sounds kind of crazy. But evidently passengers were surprised, and according to BBDO Germany, they enjoyed it. I don't know if I would enjoy it. I mean, it almost seems a little bit like, what was that? There was a movie years ago where they were trying to subliminally send commercials to you. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a little bit scary. Anybody have any thoughts about that, or?
I don't know, Andrew.
Yeah.
Not really, to be honest. I'll let other people.
Okay. All right. Yep. David.
Yeah, I mean, this is bone induction technology. In many ways, we're living in the future right now, and tech is actually evolving a lot faster than we've actually got time to think about it. Google Glass being another case in point, and this is very much in the same domain, really, because it's intensely personalized. It could be seen as an invasion of your personal space of privacy, and nobody's really thought about the ramifications of this very much. And I would be very surprised if we didn't also get some sort of kind of feedback on times that people actually interact with this, which might see some kind of expansion. So it's the kind of territory which we sort of need to think about a little bit, and it's just sort of happened. So it's like watching the future unfold.
What about hey David? What about Google Glass? What's your view on Google Glass? Have you used it yet, or are you going to get some?
I have a developer friend who's given me a go on his set. It's absolutely amazing. It's going to change the way we interact with the environment in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will. I mean, we're going to see apps and services and products which we haven't even imagined yet, based on this kind of new usage and interaction with an environment. So it's a really big thing.
Yeah, definitely. I seen a video from Robert Scoble the other day. He did one with new app came out for the Google Glass fitted with a car, which was quite good.
Yeah.
Should check that one out. David, was quite good. What about you, Jacob? What's your view on that story?
Trains giving out hi-fi stuff, that would be pretty weird.
It would be very weird. All right, Steve from Sydney. Do you reckon?
I think it's pretty cool, but I mean, given the state of the public transport system in Sydney, it's impossible to even get a seat, let alone lean up against the window. So
yeah,
it's not going to
be. yeah. All right, Steve from the US.
Actually, to me it's a very interesting technology, because actually this is loosely based on some things they actually did in the 40s during World War II. They had the throat mics where it doesn't actually use audio; it uses vibration. So when they transmit, they just press the mic, and so this technology, it's not necessarily transmitting; it's actually receiving through the bone in your head. So yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Good stuff, Jody.
Okay, so getting back to bones, a couple weeks ago we talked about these new 3D printing devices, and this is an interesting application of that technology. Apparently, not only are you able now to create kind of a lightweight cast for a bone, it can be done in a way that it's breathable, it's lightweight, it's recyclable, and it becomes something of like a washable exoskeleton that mimics the body's trabecular, the small honeycomb-like structure that makes up your inner bone structure. And I just figured, we had spent a lot of time talking about the 3D printing technology for creating guns, and I figured, this is a good use of 3D printing technology.
Yeah, definitely great. It's going to be good when it comes out. If you break your arm or something, would be good, wouldn't it? Jacob, what's your view on that?
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Steve from Sydney, what do you reckon? Would you use that?
Oh, look, I think 3D printing in the medical system is going to be amazing. There's going to be so many things they can do with it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time to see, what's going to happen there. I think it's really good.
All right, mate. Cool. Steve from USA, what do you reckon?
I see it having a lot of advantages and hardly any disadvantages. The only thing I'm wondering is how they make it. Obviously, it has to be custom made for each person, so I'm kind of wondering how they're going to do it. Like they got to scan the arm in using lasers and then make it. So yeah.
That's for when you break your arm or something, isn't it? You can use that for.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. David, what do you reckon?
Yeah, this is again, this is the future happening, isn't it? I mean, we just had this is on the back of earlier in the year we had a 3D printed jawbone, and this is they're called replicators, 3D printers, and they part of the intense personalization of services which is coming. But at the moment, it's so basic and so crude and rudimentary that everything was wow. It's like the first days of the web when you had a website with a starry blinking background. Everybody thought it was fantastic, and everybody just went there because it was there. So we haven't even scratched the surface of this. Companies are still bringing out services. The quality of the products are getting better, and we don't know where it's going to take us. Is it exciting? Yeah, absolutely. This is fantastic, and
Would you use
potentially.
it? Would you use it if you broke your arm with it?
Well, definitely, because obviously breaking your arm is never a good thing.
No,
But
it's not
if you have to wear something which will actually help you, I saw the device because I was following the news on this, and it looks pretty cool. And certainly, it's less obtrusive and a lot more helpful than having one of these stupid casts on your arm, which then has to So
Yeah, definitely.
it's excellent.
All right, Andrew, what's your view on that? I think he's away. Anyway, let's move on, Jody.
Okay, one more story, and then I know we've got some great interviews to do.
We do.
You ever get that feeling that your cell phone's ringing, but it's not, or you feel the vibration of your phone, and like you left it on the table, but you feel like it's in your pocket and it's vibrating?
Mm-hmm.
You ever feel that? Well, about 80% of the people in the world have this sensation of like a false phone vibrating or ringing. And it's not a sign of impending madness caused by a digital culture or anything like that. In fact, what the scientists are now attributing it to is this idea of the fact that you don't want to miss a call. So what you do, your perception is heightened, and therefore you anticipate the phone ringing when in fact it's not. So you're not going crazy, or maybe you are, but apparently you're not alone either. Roughly, like I said, 80% of the people also have this strange sensation. So,
okay,
and that's pretty much the news.
Good news, Jody, as always. Great stuff. We got David on as a guest today, and welcome, David.
Hello, guys. I'm glad to be here.
You're writing a new book or putting out a new book, is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually out now. It only started shipping about a week ago. It's called Google Semantic Search. And
nice. Tell us about it.
Okay, I mean, this is really a big deal in terms of how Google is going, and not only just Google, but the web itself. And we're essentially in a semantic web. And when moment you mention semantic web, you think, this is really geeky and techy and incredibly complex. And yes, it is, but the implications are not. Essentially, the web is becoming, to use a couple of scary terms, smarter and aware. And if you think AI and Terminator, which most people associate with this, well, in a way, yes, in a way, no. Because, yes, it is getting smarter in terms of understanding what we want. It's getting more aware in terms of our personalized needs. But it's not alive in the sense that we sense, an AI, an intelligence behind there looking at us and consciously watching us. Essentially, it's a significant upgrade of the algorithms. And if you think of intelligence, it is basically based on connections. I mean, we can have the world's entire knowledge in our heads, and if it's just sitting there, it's not doing anything. It's not making us smarter. It's not making us do anything in any way better. However, if we can connect it, if we can connect the dots, so to speak, inside our heads, that allows us to draw meaning and inference. And that actually does make us smarter. And that's what we're seeing. It's mathematically driven, but by joining all the different data points, which is essentially in a lot of the news which we covered today on the show, is about that. Companies are actually moving that way. The web is becoming smarter and aware, and it is delivering things which are sort of more personalized, and it's understanding our intent in many ways, and sort of moving to predict it.
Wow. All right, Jody, any questions for David?
Yeah, David, first of all, a lot of the stuff that you talk about with the semantic web, there may be people listening who don't understand what that means. So could you explain a little bit about what the semantic web means?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually going to give a couple of examples which will help typify it. I mean, the web as we sense it and as we see it is only the web seen through the very narrow window of search. So essentially, search for many of us is defining the shape of the web and how it works. And search is actually changing. And if we take an example, let's say it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and you want to, you're on your phone and you put in pizza restaurants, for instance. Now, in the old days, what would happen is you would get, a number of links, which would be statistically probable in terms of the search query, because the web worked statistically through text analysis. And you would have to go to each of those links, check it out, and see if it actually fitted into what you wanted to do. Were you looking for a restaurant, perhaps, or you looking for pizza recipes, or you were looking perhaps to sort of find something about pizza in terms of traditions and so on. It doesn't work this way now. It actually understands what you're trying to do. So what happens is, if it's 9 a.m. and you say pizza restaurant to your phone, especially if you use Google Voice Search, which is fully semantic, Google then checks to see what is your past search pattern history, what time of the day did you carry out this current query, where are you when you're actually doing it. If you're on your phone, you can use the GPS to see, are you in a car, are you moving quickly, are you stationary, where are you in terms of the location, and it will actually make a decision based on all this. And you'll think that 9 a.m. probably what you're actually looking for is informational rather than practical, because it's highly unlikely that you would want to buy pizza at 9 a.m. in the morning. You have the exact same query now at perhaps 6 p.m. and you say pizza restaurant, and Google thinks, okay, this guy's probably starving, and what it gives you are the local pizza restaurants within walking distance or driving distance from where you are. And this kind of convenience and personalization which comes from this approach is exactly what the semantic web is about. Essentially, it tries to not just listen to what you want in a very sort of blind, data brutal way, but actually tries to be clever and understand your intention or your intent behind what you're actually looking. So it tries to think almost like a person. So if you ask me the same thing at 9 a.m. in the morning, I would think the same thing. And I think so that's what it is basically. And that, in a nutshell, is the intelligence and awareness of the semantic web. It's those points of data coming together to understand better what we want and deliver better results, which are more suitable to our needs.
Sounds very interesting, David. The book, how much is the book to buy?
I think it's about 18 US dollars, I think.
Okay.
And Amazon usually run discounts on that, so it probably comes down to about 15.
Okay.
Is it available as an ebook as well, David?
It is, yes. You can get it from Kindle, or you can get it from Safari Books as well. And I think Barnes & Noble are bringing out their own version.
So it's really taking Google from just purely, I want a pizza, and it gives you, okay, here's a few restaurants, to really making that sort of customized, thinking query, where you're bringing context into it as well, which is the next wave. So this could be really good. I mean, in a place where there's lots of books on search engine optimization, it's no longer just about getting to the first page of Google per se. It's about how that information is used, isn't it? So this could be really interesting for the future.
Yeah, and I'm actually very glad you said that, because the traditional first page of Google doesn't exist anymore. What the end user sees is an increasingly personalized sort of range of answers, and they're again based on your usual search pattern, who your friends are in terms of your social connections, the kind of results you usually click on. I mean, this is all data which Google captures, but in a sort of anonymized way, and it forms a pretty accurate profile of who you are as an individual. And search is fragmenting. It's no longer desktop search. Now we have desktop, we have mobile search, which is different. We have Google Now, which is different again. We have Google Maps, again, different service. Google Local. So all these different things we sort of flit across in everyday lives. They're different verticals. And the only unifying element there is our personal profile, which Google tries very hard to understand in order to meet what we're actually looking for.
All right, good stuff, David. Jacob, any questions? Come on.
Here's one.
Well, hurry up. Come on.
Well, how do we take advantage of semantic search to boost website traffic?
Well, that's an excellent question. Okay. I'll have to sort of give a quick answer, a quick history rundown of what used to happen before. And to show you the difference right now, and then I'll explain that answer in detail. But before semantic search came along, we had something called Boolean search. It's statistical text analysis. And what happened was that, if you had, for instance, you put in tech webcast and you're looking for your particular website, what Google would actually try to do is look at all the different statistical elements which would give it a more accurate answer. So it would scan the entire sort of set of pages in its database. It would look for tech webcast to see where it's appearing. Does it appear on the URL, for instance, appear on the page in a certain number of frequencies, and where exactly would it appear? Would it appear at the top of the page, at the bottom, in the middle, in the footer, etc. And it would use something like about 300 different elements coming together, and it would statistically bring up results. The higher confidence ones would be at the top, the lower confidence ones would be at the bottom, and so on. And then what would happen? I, as a searcher, for instance, would have to go to each one, acting essentially as an entirely different layer of filtering, trying to find the one I wanted, because probably the one that statistically would come up may not have been the best one. Now, the key word here is statistically, because essentially we could game that approach. And that's where SEO in the past used to come in, where you had to do very specific things to actually help a page come up in Google in terms of a particular search query, which used to give us the sort of a classic, I want to be on Google's first page, and everybody always want to be there. It doesn't work that way anymore. Now your page may come up even if there's no keyword there which relates to text query, which is incredible if you think about it. I can perhaps put in tech webcast, and you can call your show, I don't know, best show on the web in Australia, and it would actually come up if that's what I actually needed to find. And that now shows you what you need to do in order to actually take advantage of search and coming up on Google so that people can find you. And what is that you have to do? Instead of chasing keywords, instead of chasing all those little technical details, which are really bitty in the past you had to do, now you have to address the real needs. You have to think, okay, what is it that I'm doing? And what is it that my potential audience wants to find? So in this particular case, we have a tech-orientated radio show. So if you have content on your page which actually explains what it is and explains it in a way that answers the search query or the search intent of your end user, that would help you actually come up. And if we go back in a pizza restaurant example I gave before, in order for a pizza restaurant to come up in time for my 6 p.m. query, which I'm really famished and I'm looking for one, it would have to have content on its page which gave opening hours. It told me what it is, it told me the kind of pizza it actually sells, and it told me where it was. So then it would come up directly for me. So cool. What do you have to do differently? Forget the tech stuff and just answer things like you would to a person. And
I'm really enjoying that. The way that you're explaining this is really fantastic, because I don't really, search engine optimization is scary for a lot of people. I'm in tech and I don't get most of it. So to see you've got a number of books already out, so obviously you've had a lot of experience. You've probably made mistakes and improved things along the way, and the way that you're going through this process is really, really comfortable and really easy to understand and comprehend. So for me, I'm really looking forward to having a look at this book.
All right.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah.
Good stuff. Stephen from Sydney, any questions for David at all, mate?
No, really. I think he's explained things pretty well. It's one of the areas that, we've done a little bit of work in it, and a couple of years ago I was studying a whole bunch of stuff like this. It is interesting. It's definitely where all search engines and all searching is heading. Personalized searches are where it needs to go. It helps everyone out, basically. It helps the advertisers out, and it helps the end users out. So it's good for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Steve from USA.
Yeah. Well, it's more of a statement, but a lot of people are not very happy with Google, because I know they collect data on people. Obviously, one of the reasons is to target advertisers to a specific person, which I can understand, but also using this personal information. Obviously, when you make a search, it's more geared toward what you're looking for. Vice than I think before, a long time ago, it used to be the most popular results instead of what you're looking for.
All right.
Yeah, search is changing. You're quite right. It's becoming very, very personalized, which is, again, that's why we said there's no real first page of Google anymore. And you're right. Google does actually collect an incredible amount of information. I must say they're probably amongst the best in terms of giving you control in what you give to them, and also they're very good at anonymizing it, so they create patterns rather than very specific personal information. Does this make anybody uncomfortable? Well, absolutely. But this is the way you work on the web. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're there, that's what you're there to do. You want to win. You need to put information out. So as long as you control what you're putting out as much as you can, that's all you can do really. So the uncomfortable factor which creeps in is when we compare our old pre-internet experience, perhaps, where we could be fairly private and close within our very narrow environment, and the much more open, much more connected world we see now, which is markedly different, and I totally get it.
All right.
Hey, David? Yeah, quick question. David, how important do you feel social media is to optimization these days?
It's hugely important. As a matter of fact, what Google has done essentially, and what one of the key elements of semantic search is that it uses the end user profile, uses our personal activity on the social web to become the verifying point for information. And what do I mean by that? Let's go back to pizza, and let's say I have a pizza restaurant, and I put on it, best pizza in town. It's the best pizza, absolutely. The best pizza which you can get here. This is the old SEO stuff that we used to do in the past. You sort of drum on about it, and somebody's going to believe you. And now what's going to happen? If I really have that kind of restaurant, really has that kind of pizza, and it really is the best, well, those people who actually use it are going to talk about their friends, and they're going to reshare some of the information on social media networks, and Google sees all that. So if I really have a best pizza restaurant in town, it will see it through the social web, and it will ascribe it that value. So that when you actually look on your phone or on your desktop search and say, I really want a really top quality pizza restaurant, my pizza restaurant would actually come up, and Google will be fairly confident that this is what it is because of the social web. But suppose now I really don't have the best pizza restaurant in town. I just say I do, and I go on my website and I SEO to the gills using the techniques of the past, and in those techniques, it appears to be the best pizza restaurant in town, but it's only coming through my website. We go into the social web, and there's nothing there. Nobody has really worked on it or interacted with it or shared it, or even worse, there may be a few negative experiences. Now Google sees that again. So now, if you put, I want a really top quality pizza restaurant, even though perhaps from an old point of view, I would tick all the boxes and I would need to come up, now I won't. And why won't I? Because the social filtering, which we see through the social web, will have essentially verified the data. And then my restaurant won't come up because it's not really the best pizza restaurant in the world. And that's exactly how important the social layer or the social web is. Everything we see in terms of company actions, whether it's Vimes on Twitter or Instagram on Facebook, or even the action of companies like Samsung acquiring streaming services like Boxy, has that social element built in now, because they're all trying to get the kind of data which will help them make sense of everything their customers do, so that they can bring out products that target them better. They can lock them into an environment, and I use lock in a sense of a good meaning rather than a bad one. Lock them in an environment which is constantly improving, and actually try to meet them on a personalized level. This intense personalization, key. Companies that don't actually do it, don't actually deliver it, they become faceless corporations marketing at who knows what, because they don't really understand it. So then they're going to be on a losing streak. So social has become key to everything, whether we like it or not, and it's going to become more and more so as more and more services are taken up and more people become comfortable with it.
So it's almost like the inbound links. It's taken the place of inbound links.
Of the Tech Podcast Network.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Jody, yeah, absolutely. Well, inbound links, and I'm very glad you brought this. And for people who are not very familiar with this, inbound links is a term applied to links pointing to a particular website from other websites. And there's a very crucial signal, because Google then had deemed that if a website is pointing to you, then essentially it's giving you a vote of confidence. And they had a very complex algorithm assessing the website, sending the link, assessing the website, bringing the link, and looking at everything between, trying to sort of verify this. And all of it tried, because it is fairly linear. Everything they did, SEOs used to sort of go one better. And now with human behavior, you can't do that. We can't be controlled. Again, back to my pizza restaurant, I can say anything about myself because I control my website. What I don't control is the end user experience because I don't really provide it. If I want to control that, then I need to provide it. And which means I would become the best pizza restaurant in town. So yeah,
I feel like pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Somebody's hungry.
There you go.
Yeah, I want pizza.
Part of suggestion.
Jeez, okay. All right. Okay, David, thanks for me being gone, mate. Where can they get the book from and that sort of stuff?
You can get it from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any good bookshop. It's available as a download on a Kindle store or as paper copy. So it's available pretty much globally.
All right, hang around.
You can have a look at helpmyseo.com. That's
the one.
helpmyseo.com. So jump on there and click on Google semantic search and have a look at it.
All right, we've got Stephen from Vodafone on, Andrew. Go ahead. I know you've got some questions for him, Andrew, about you use Vodafone?
Yeah, I'm a Vodafone user, and Stephen is working in their global enterprise team. So he's a bit of a techie, and we've got Stephen on. So great to have you on the show today, Stephen.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Now, you've been using Vodafone 4G on your phone. Stephen, how do you like it so far?
Yeah, I've been using it for the past couple of weeks. I'm loving it. Obviously, it's great. I've got a couple of phones with a couple of different carriers, and my Vodafone experience lately has just been stunning. I'm really hoping that once everyone in the public gets it, they should like it. It's different. It's in very different regions to other carriers over here, so it'll appeal to a different group of people. But I think it's going to be really good.
What sort of speeds have you been getting on your Vodafone 4G on your phone?
Oh well, I mean, at the moment it's hard to compare what the public's going to get because it's unloaded and there's only a couple of us on there.
Okay.
But most of the time I'm getting around sort of 70, 80 meg in most of the areas.
That's
but
all right.
That's likely to change when you dump thousands and thousands of users on it.
Yeah, definitely it's going to change, isn't it? With a lot of people in there using it. All right, so what about Vodafone plans and that sort of stuff? Can you mention any of that at all or not?
Plans as in what we plan to do, or as in
plans on the 4G plans and data and stuff? What sort of data can you get when you get what's on the 4G?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure across all the plans. I know that a lot of existing users will just get access to 4G straight away.
Okay.
So long as their plan is, fairly recent. I think if people have been on the same plan for the last 8 years or whatever, they may have some issues. I'm not sure about that. Luckily I don't have to deal too much with plans. I just deal with corporate people and the fun tech side.
So for you guys, though, it'll be great for you because obviously Telstra has had the 4G for a little while now. So from a corporate perspective, enterprise perspective, it means that you're going to be able to start competing again with Telstra on that 4G. So hopefully for you guys, it will mean retention of some customers, which will be great from a commercial perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of customers that have been asking for 4G, but they can't wait till it comes on. So looking forward to it. We've got a couple of people on at the moment, and it's going to be, or it is at the moment, rolling out across most of our user base. I think next week a lot of it's going live. So if anyone's on Voda and's got a 4G phone, I think this week and the next couple of weeks of July, everyone should be getting pushed onto it.
Yeah,
definitely. I've still got the 4S, which is on the 3G network, and I've been a Voda customer for probably a year and a half. And to be honest, it hasn't been a fantastic service on the phone with the 4S. I live just outside Melbourne, Pascoe, which is just a suburb of Melbourne. But really looking forward to seeing the 4G and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll jump on the coverage maps online that'll tell you where 4G should be. So, definitely jump on and have a look at that to see whether 4G is going to be in that area or not before you even consider upgrading or expecting anything.
Yeah, for sure. So, Stephen, have you compared Vodafone 4G to any other 4G network or not?
Yeah, I have. But like I said, at the moment, it's difficult to compare
Telstra
and Optus with Voda because we haven't got all the public on there. The Vodafone speeds are going to be a lot higher until we start loading it up with the whole public. It's really hard to do some comparisons. Like, for example, I ran some tests around my area the other day, and on my Telstra is running on the iPhone 5 and my Vodafone's running on the S4.
Yep.
But the Telstra I was getting 10 meg on 4G and Vodafone I was getting 90. So
I say print a brochure.
It's a big difference, but again, there's no one on the Voda network.
That's funny, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, you don't like Vodafone 3G, do you, mate? Because you need 4G.
Look, I'm not in an outer lying area by any means, and yeah, I'm challenged a lot with it. I haven't been overly. I mean, as a service company, they've been really good, but I haven't been overly
Impressed.
favorable of their 3G network. So I think it's one of those things though where some people it works, some people it doesn't. Some phones it works, some it doesn't. I've got the 4S, but I'll be moving up to the 5 or the 5S at some point, and then it'd be really good to have a look at the 4G and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'd definitely hold out till the 5S comes out.
Yeah.
If it does come out with a.
But I mean, look, one of the good things about our 4G rollout, the way we're going about it, it's different to the other carriers who predominantly started in the CBDs and moved out. What we've done, we've gone for a bit of a more targeted approach. We're targeting a lot of the population areas. We're also going into sites that have slow 3G. We're going in, putting in 4G on there and uplifting the 3G. So a lot of the really slow areas should start to see big increases. So it's helping when we're rolling out 4G. It's not just helping the 4G customers. It's also helping a lot of the people that are still going to be on 3G.
So you're saying that if Andrew will get fastest 3G then?
I don't know exactly his area, but we're definitely rolling out a lot of transmission over this year. There are a lot of sites that we're upgrading. So a lot of people should notice the difference. I can't guarantee he's going to notice a big difference anytime soon.
Yeah,
but it's possible.
So
what's it like working? Sorry, you go, Brad.
You just took my question, mate. Damn you. What's it like working at Vodafone, Steve?
I'll be honest, I love it.
Do you get free stuff? You get free phones, isn't it?
Yeah. So part of the deal is, we get upgraded phones, and obviously all our phone calls and everything are free as well.
Oh.
We get a lot of benefits. They are really an amazing company to work for.
That's great. All right, Jacob, any questions for Stephen?
How long have you been working for Vodafone?
Directly employed by Vodafone. It's been about a year and a half, but I've also, in the years before that, in my industry experience, I've been subcontracted out with other companies working for Vodafone as well. I've worked across Telstra, Optus, and Vodafone, over the past years.
Nice one. All right, Jody, any questions?
Well, yeah, I think it's interesting and fascinating that we just decided unilaterally that Apple's going to announce the next phone is a 5S. I wonder if Apple knows that.
I told you last week, Jody, we just run with the rumors. We run with the rumors on Tech Webcast.
I would love it. I think it would be amazing if Apple came out with something that wasn't a 5S. I think that would be absolutely stunning if they could do something like that. But I just can't see Apple innovating anything anytime soon.
Well, what if they call it a 6, or what if they called it a 5T instead of an S?
That would be good enough for me. Just something different. Just break the cycle. Apple needs to do something different.
Apple are cooked, if you pardon the pun.
All right. What about you, Dave? What's your view on Vodafone?
Vodafone is a global company that's like most global companies is trying very hard to get closer to its consumers and its customers. I think the approach they've taken is pretty spot on. They listen to their client base and they're trying to meet them exactly at the point where they are happy with the functionality of the service. I love 4G. I wish there's wider spread of it around the globe. At the moment, there isn't. It's only very specific places. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
All right, Steve from the US. What about you?
I'm guessing you're primarily a European-based cellular service, but notably enough, I found this. It says Vodafone owns 45% of Verizon Wireless, which I find interesting. So is that how you're in the American market, by owning Verizon or some of their stock? Or
Yeah. So in America, Verizon is the part of Vodafone that's over there. I mean, we're all around the world. Europe, Oceania, Asia, Africa's. It's Vodafone across the globe is a fairly large company. Not just the Vodafone brand. They also, like Verizon, own shares in other companies.
Makes sense.
All right. Good stuff, sir.
Here's an important question. Do you still have the racing cars in your V room in Sydney?
A lot of that stuff actually got moved out. So, we have a couple of racing cars lying around, but not that many anymore.
I used to play the video. They had the video game things all hooked up with the Vodafone and the F1s in the V room in Sydney. A whole lot of fun. Tibor was running it down then.
Everything sort of moved away from that.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what, Stephen? What's Vodafone been selling a lot of phones? What's been popular phone so far? Do you know?
It's actually a really widespread, to be honest. Because you get, I mean, the people that make a lot of noise talk about the iPhones and the Galaxies.
Yep.
There's still a lot of mid and low end ones as well.
Okay.
Maybe more so with Vodafone because it's more of the, I guess you call it the budget type telecom. They got a lot of the cheaper plans, so you get a lot more of the users that don't really have the money. They don't want to spend on iPhone. They don't want to spend on Galaxy. They just want a phone that works.
Yeah.
They don't need any of the extra features. They need to be able to send a message and make a call. Occasionally use some data, but that's about it.
Well, I was in the Vodafone store the other day in Melbourne here, and they said they're selling the S4 more than the iPhone.
There's the iPhone's been outsold for quite a while now, actually. The Galaxies have just been, I wouldn't say killing them, but definitely outselling them. Even the last release was outselling the iPhone by a little bit, I think.
What's your view on the HTC One phone?
I haven't used it. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't know. I don't really use the HTCs much. I'm more of an iPhone and Samsung user.
All right. What about you, Andrew? Have you seen the HTC One phone?
Yeah, a little bit. But I think Samsung have just got such a domination in the market. And as you were saying just before, Steve, I don't think Apple can release the 5S and stay innovative. They really need to look at a different physical handset and call it a 6. I mean, even literally doing that, changing the handset marginally, doing nothing else on the functionalities and calling it an iPhone 6 would be enough to sell more phones than making it the most groundbreaking technology in the same case as a 5S.
I reckon they'll call the next iPhone 4K because they're probably going to put a 4K camera in it. That's what Jody said, or you said, didn't you, Andrew? You said something.
No.
Who said that? Someone said to me they're going to putting a 4K camera in.
Oh.
Jacob, who said that?
Don't know.
4K, that's 4 megapixels.
No, 4K. The video camera. I don't know. That's what I'm strong up, but yeah. All right, Andrew. What else you want to say?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right. So you're gonna stay with Vodafone, mate?
I'm gonna have a look at the 4G and see how we go from there. They're a good company. As I said, it hasn't been great for me, the 3G.
No.
But they are a great company, great customer service, and they're a global telecommunications leader. So it'll be really good to have them get that 4G in Australia, so they can start to compete with Optus and Telstra, and that will obviously help the consumer in the long run if we've got a few more players on there.
So what date is the launch for Vodafone 4G, Stephen? Is it next week? I think it's the 10th or something, isn't it?
So I mean, I'm not exactly sure what date they're calling the launch date because we've already put, I'm not sure how many tens of thousands of customers, but they've been using it over the past couple of weeks. And then progressive across July, we're rolling it out to everyone. So it's not really any fixed date as far as I'm aware. It's sort of being rolled out across everyone, over the month.
All right, cool, mate. All right, Jacob, are you going to use Vodafone?
Nothing much. I don't use Vodafone. I use AT&T.
All right, Chatterbox Live.
Oh, me?
We need to wrap up, mate. Where can they get you?
You can find me on Twitter as Chatterbox_live, and of course, my live channel, which is Justin.tv/LinuxCoolDude.
All right, Jody, final thoughts on that sort of thing?
Well, first of all, David, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I mean, so much has changed in the world of SEO, and I definitely would recommend anybody who's interested to pick up that book because there's only one good way to stay on top of it, and you're right at the front edge. So thank you.
Thank you for having me here, and thanks for the questions. They were great.
Definitely. Thanks for being on, David. Come back on any time, mate. Appreciate your feedback,
I will.
sort of stuff, and appreciate you sharing the podcast and that sort of thing. It's really good being good, mate.
Absolutely. And also thank you, Stephen, for sharing your information about Vodafone as well.
Yes, thank you, Stephen, for I appreciate that, mate. And you've been
no problem. Thanks.
Legend, mate. You're a legend. Andrew, where can they get you on Twitter?
They can get me at Ari from Oz on Twitter and also Facebook, and you can get me zafo.com/@Andrew.
And me, Brad Oz on the Tech Webcast. Anyone else missed out, Andrew?
Jody, where can we get you?
Jody, yeah.
You can find me on Twitter as Sunswept, SUNSWEPT, and everywhere else is either Jody Rains or webmarcom.net.
All right, Jacob, where can I get you?
You can find me at Jazzbot32669. 1Z.
All right. Got to mention, Jacob, you got your internet on last week, mate.
Yes, I did.
Give us a quick brief rundown on it.
Yeah, I went from crappy DSL to heaven
Really?
cable.
That's fantastic, mate. You'll be downloading videos and stuff.
All right, I could download 45 gigabytes in 2 hours.
Wow. What do you think about that, Jody?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks for being on, Stephen and David. Appreciate you guys' time.
You're most welcome, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hi, Glenn from Aussie Tech Heads. Join Will, Eric, and myself as we bring you the latest, most up-to-date, important tech news that affects you from Australia and the world. Weekly podcast available each Friday through iTunes. Watch the live stream recording of the show at live.thesecrethub.com each Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. or GMT plus 10. Call in live via Skype or chat in our lounge. However you get us, just make sure you do. Listen or visit our website for more information, www.aussietechhead.com.au. Aussie Tech Heads, Australia's longest running tech news podcast.
Well, that's it for Tech Webcast this week. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed having your mind expanded. Tune in next week for more tech talk with Brad, Jason, and whatever crazy guest they've managed to rope in. Don't forget to get the Tech Webcast app from iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Tech Webcast, and of course, check us out on Facebook too. Until next time, may the tech be with you. Peace.